Hello Cabinet Vision users, Bruce Chesham here with another hair-pulling episode about countertops. So in this Cabinet Vision Minute, I'm going to be talking about just a simple laminate countertop. But as you can see in this picture here, it's got a 5-inch edge on the front and on the side there, 4-inch splash. Why is it that countertops give us so much grief? That's what we're talking about today in this episode of A Cabinet Vision Minute. Okay, so jumping into this countertop room here, we've got a countertop sitting on top of some support racks. Countertops are not unlike any other object in Cabinet Vision in that we have material schedules we have to deal with and construction methods we have to deal with. And the two of those things work together to give us the thing that we're after, the countertop that we're after. So I'm going to show you how I did this particular countertop and some of the problems I faced in the process. So let's go back to this room for a moment, and let's look at the two construction methods I'm dealing with here, or the construction method I'm dealing with for countertops. So the construction method is called PLAM 5-inch SE for self edge, 5-inch self edge, and the material schedule I'm using is 5-inch laminate top. If I look at this in 3D, this is what I have. So I'm going to close the job and look into those construction methods and material schedules. Okay, the first place I'm going to is the material schedules. The first place I'm going to is the construction method for the countertop. And in this case, I said it's PLAM 5-inch SE. So for laminate countertops, I'm going to use the selection in standard number 1 for surface and substrate. If it was surface only, that would be more like a solid surface countertop or a granite top or something like that. But in this case, I have laminate, the yellow area, sitting on top of 5/8 or 3/4 inch particle board or something like that, MDF. So the next thing I'm going to look at is standard number 2. Do you include buildup with this construction method? In my case, I'm going to say no. If I said yes, it's going to add these pieces underneath there. For this laminate countertop, it doesn't matter to me, so I'm going to just say no so I don't have to deal with buildup. And I got to be careful about using terms here because there's a lot of terms that are easy to misconstrue or conflate terms, like buildup, edge cap, edge buildup, or there's the use of terms here. You've got to pay really close attention to those. Your edge cap. Okay, here we go. We're talking about edge cap versus what were we in the last one? Buildup. So buildup is not edge cap. What is edge cap? I had to look it up. I had to go to the help menu and see exactly what edge cap refers to. So if I did this and this, I'm thinking that the edge cap, let's say you've seen countertops with it's like nosing for a countertop. So I'm going to say that this laminate countertop is going to have edge cap, but in this case, the edge cap is going to be laminate material. But the material, again, is not addressed in the construction manager or the assembly manager. It's addressed in the material manager, material schedules, okay? But this is just telling me where I want to place it. So if remember these two simple questions or simple statements, first statement is construction methods answer the question, how do you put these things together? How do you put this cabinet together? How do you put this countertop together? How do you put this drawer together? So it answers those questions about how things relate to one another. A material schedule, on the other hand, answers the question, what do you want to make this thing out of? Do you want to use 3/4 inch particle board? Do you want to use melamine? Do you want to use, what are the materials that go into this thing that we're making here? So two different questions, but they relate to each other very closely. Easy to get them confused. I get it. Here in this particular universe right now, I'm dealing with construction. So the edge cap in this case is going to be laminate. It's going to go on the edge. So the next question asks me, well, how high do you want that edge cap to be? And this is really where I answer the fundamental question in this case, because I'm using I want this countertop to appear as though it's 5 inches thick, or 5-inch self edge on the front edge, or I want this self edge to be 5 inches high. And remember, it's referring only to laminate. So in the end, this edge cap is going to look like it's as thin as laminate is, if that's the material I pick for the edge cap. Are you tracking with me here? Okay. Next question, how high do I want to make the splash? I'm just going to use a standard. I think this is a standard answer to this question. So I want 4-inch splash, surface again, and substrate again. So laminate over some substrate. Do I want, how do I want to answer this splash? How do I want to deal with the splash, etc.? Okay. So much for that. The buildup. Well, remember, I answered the question up there if I'm going to use buildup at all, which is under here. And I think that was the first question. Let's see. The second question, standard number 2. Do you include buildup with this construction method? No. Okay. So that means, why would I even look at this if I'm not even having buildup anywhere in my countertops? So I can avoid this whole section here of standards to answer. And I'm going to not answer alignment holes or joining either. All I'm really concerned about for this particular laminate countertop is this first section called materials, ironically. Since we don't really use materials in there, I think this is a poor choice of name for this category. If you're listening, Hexagon. All right, so now I'm going to go look at the material schedule for that countertop. All right, so I'm going to go to the countertop schedule manager for that one, which is a 5-inch laminate top. Okay, so these are my selections for this countertop. And there's some considerations here. And I under buildup, I put material not assigned. Why did I do that? Well, remember I said that in the construction method, I don't want any buildup. So if I don't want any buildup, why would I assign material to that? So just to be clean about it, I'm going to make sure that I have no material assigned to buildup. And likewise, I'm going to have no buildup on the joint edge as well. Rough splash, I do have some 3/4 inch MDF for the structural top. So we're talking about the substrate for the splash, substrate for the countertop itself. Up here for the finished surface, remember we have the laminate and the substrate. So the finished top area is referring to the laminate. So I've picked laminate in there for our laminate color, in this case, laminate material that's called SG. I think this is one of the system colors, system materials. And end cap, also laminate, and splash, the laminate also. So these are the only materials I've assigned just for the core, the rough top, the substrate, and the finished surface. So slow this down and watch it again and try to get past all my stumbling around of these terms. I mean, I get it. I'm a Cabinet Vision user too. I stumble with these things, and I'm trying not to. I hope I made this as clear as I can. This area is referring to the substrate, the structural top, and this area up here is referring to the laminate. Okay, so that should do it. I don't really have any other parameters inside here that are hidden that I need to deal with, or this is pretty straightforward. Okay, so I'm going to close this now and go back and look at that job. Okay, so this is that room, and again in the setup for this room, for the countertop, I'm using the construction method. I have to call that out, call out the construction method. And this is the same one we were just looking at in the construction manager, or assembly manager as it's called. And the 5-inch laminate top, probably a bad name for it. I should probably just call it laminate top instead of 5-inch, because really 5 inches has nothing to do with the material schedule. That is a parameter from the construction method. So my own bad here in naming this, but to differentiate it from other laminates, I'm just using it for this exercise. You can call it whatever you want. Okay, so profiles here, it says 1/2-inch cove. Make that something like a square edge, because we're not using any kind of profile on there at all. And the layout, this is face overhang and blah, blah, blah by default. You could change that to 5 if you want, but just leave it for that for now. This overhang really refers to the distance from the countertop, the front of the countertop, to the edge of the front edge. That's what that refers to. And end overhang, likewise, same thing. Minimum depth and so forth. Add splash by default. So those are just, all right. So how did I get this countertop in there in the first place? I have no cabinets sitting underneath there. All I have is these two countertop support brackets. And as you may or may not know, countertops will not automatically get placed in a room unless there are cabinets below it. So I don't have that option here. I could put some countertop or some cabinets underneath there temporarily, add the countertop, and then remove the cabinets underneath there. To me, that's more trouble than it's worth. So I'm going to show you how I put this countertop in there. And what I did is I'm going to go into countertop mode and delete this. So there's no countertop right now. It's just those countertop supports sitting there. I'm going to go to the plan view and select countertops, but I'm going to select new top. And it's going to take the defaults that I have for the room as the defaults for this countertop. So it's building to the to the construction method that I showed you, and to the material schedule that I also showed you. So starting in the back left corner, which is kind of standard for most Cabinet Vision countertops as a place, or Cabinet Vision objects as a place to start, I'm going to go from that back left corner, click in there, and come out here somewhere 70, let's go 72 inches. 72, 9, okay, that's close enough. And come out I don't know, 26 inches. That's good. And over here, and then connect it all up in the back corner. And then right click to end my countertop building there. Do I want to save that shape? Yes. Now it's likely not going to give me the results that I'm looking for. If I went into 3D mode here, you can see that I don't have a 5-inch splash over here on the end, or a 5-inch self edge on the end, and I don't have a splash over on this wall. And I want both of those things. So how am I going to attack that? And I'll show you right now. I'm going to go back to plan view, go to countertops again, and I'm going to right click on the countertop here and edit the shape. When I go into edit mode, you can see that I have these different colors here for these lines that make up the perimeter of the countertop. The red line, if I click on that, is depicted over here on the edge, or on this, in this edge table here, as splash. That's good, but I also want this one here that's in blue, which is just says finished. I don't know why it decided that's going to be finished, but it's not right. I want it to be a splash also. The front edge, which does have the 5-inch self edge on it, is fine. I'm not going to change that. But this one over here that is a finished end does not have the self edge profile on it. So I'm going to change that to profile. And now I think I'm happy with what's going on here. I have 2 profile edges and 2 splash edges. So if I click now the 3D, it'll ask me if I want to save my changes. I'll say yes, I do. And sure enough, that looks like the top that I'm after. So I'm going to change this to fill mode for a moment. I'll change it to texture mode. And you can see that, yeah, that's pretty close for what I'm looking at. The rest of the changes that I need to make for my shop drawing submittals, I can change here by deleting some lines and basically cleaning it up. But it is correct. If I go into CAD mode for like this front elevation here, I'll go into CAD mode, and I'm going to measure that countertop just to make sure that I've got somewhere around 5 inches, and I do. It says 4 15/16, but it's not taking into account the laminate from the top. So let's go from the laminate all the way down to the bottom here, and it is 5 inches. I'm a happy camper, and I will probably do one more thing, and that's start trimming some lines here. So I'll get rid of that line. I'll select all this stuff, remove that, and I'll trim up some other lines here just to make things all right. So that's it. Oh, let me show you one thing here. That self edge now is just laminate. Let's go to, yeah, the self edge is just laminate. So in this section you can see I do have the substrate here, which I said is 3/4 inch MDF, 3/4 inch MDF for the back splash substrate, and for this piece here, which makes this a total of 1.5 inches across there. But this 5/8, or excuse me, this 5 inches from here to down here is only self edge. So if I want to dress up this drawing here, I can by adding in some lines here, and let's offset that by 0.75 and add a line in there. And you can see I've already dressed it up a little bit to make it look more appropriate. So a little bit of cleanup is involved. That's fine. And that's how I do a 5-inch self edge on a laminate top. We have a lot more to cover. in future episodes of dealing with countertops. So come on back, and we'll see you on the next one.